and welcome to another special edition of the Stella Talk Show. I'm your host, Stella Ram, mother, realtor, entrepreneur, and a firm believer that success is not just about what we achieve in our careers, but also about the impact we make in our communities. The show is all about inspiring conversations that help you thrive in life, wealth, and also in real estate. In honor of celebrating the International Women's Day in the month of March, let's take a moment to honor the achievements, resilience, and the power of women around the world. This year's time is all about empowerment, uplifting each other, breaking barriers, and rewriting the narratives of what women can accomplish no matter where life takes us. And I couldn't think of a better guest to join us today than someone who embodied this spirit of empowerment, Varsha Pasel. Varsha's story is one of courage, transformation, and purpose. As an immigrant to Canada, she understands that home ownership is about so much more than just a financial investment. It's about stability, belonging, and building a legacy. This deep personal connection drives her passion as a trusted real estate agent in the Guelph, Ontario area. Beyond her professional accomplishments, Varsha wears many hats. She's a beloved wife, mother, a pet owner, and a community builder who values the importance of connection. And as the host of the Trust Collective podcast, Varsha leads authentic conversations about navigating change, personal growth, and embracing transitions with confidence. Her journey is one of courage, resilience, and empowerment. Today, we'll be talking about her experience as an immigrant, entrepreneur, wife, and mother, and how she beautifully merged cultures while empowering others to find their voice and purpose. So grab a coffee and let's welcome Varsha Pasel.
Thank you, Stella. It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
You're most welcome. It's an honor to have you as well, Varsha. I hope I touched everything there. I know it's a lot to introduce you on, but it's amazing that what you have grown into, to see what you have done so far. So I'm very happy for you.
Thank you. I feel the same way about you, Stella. Like, it wasn't that long ago that you and I got to meet. And even just in that little bit of time that has passed from when we saw each other in person, to see like how boots on the ground and how you've come into this role so beautifully, it's really inspiring for me as well. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate your kind words. So just talking about adapting cultures, right? How did you balance adapting to a new culture while staying true to your roots?
Okay, so that is really tricky. I sometimes have to, it's only now at this stage in my life that I'm even looking back at that lens. And truly, Stella, I think it stems from the fact that I'm a mother, right? Sometimes, and you might agree, being a parent is the biggest mirror that we have in front of us. Everything that we want to, impart on our young ones, we have to really just think back to who we were at that age and how do we want to raise our children going forward, right? So I'll say adaptability is something that I think immigrants we don't even know we have the skill, but it's innate in us. For my parents specifically, they not only emigrated out of India once, they did so twice. So for them, they had moved from India to the Middle East, and that's where I was raised, my sister was raised. And then they immigrated again, with teenage children to Canada, right? In the quest for higher education, of course, right? Better education. Now the Middle East is a completely different ballgame.
That's true.
I'd say it wasn't even a thought that, oh, we have to be adaptable. We just needed to be adaptable. It was just a skill that was in us, watching our parents, watching our elders do this day in and day out. Now that I'm a mom, I think I'm very intentional in the way that I choose to adapt to certain situations and how I'm raising my kids as well. And as you know, career transitions from one career to the next, everything is about adaptability now.
That's true. That's true. Oh my God, that's very inspiring. Just to think about what our parents have done for us for a better life. That's exactly what we envision for our family, our kids as well. So definitely when you're in that mother role, it's you take different roles in your journey, and that's everything combines together is very empowering. So I completely understand where you're coming from.
Our guiding light, Stella. It's our guiding force, right? Because
that is true.
Ourselves as much as we run our own businesses and our own practices. It's forever. We are raising humans.
That is true. I completely agree. So, in your journey, Varsha, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced as an immigrant woman starting a business in Canada? I know that you had legal background before that. When you started thinking of, okay, now I'm gonna get into being an entrepreneur, was there any challenges as an immigrant, as a woman that you faced?
Oh, so many. So many because I'll tell you the truth, in choosing to become a realtor,
Mm.
what they don't necessarily touch on enough when you're going through the program to become one is the fact that you're setting up a business for yourself. Like this is an entire business operation here. You're not just buying and selling real estate, right? So that in itself was a hurdle, because no one has done that. My father was a consultant later on in his life, but um, it wasn't that we had these long in-depth conversations about him setting up business for himself. It was a very small consultation that he did, right? So
Mhm.
it was a lot of self-learning, and I came to realize there's really a lack of education on how to set yourself up in business in real estate out there
Mhm.
successfully, right? And also this concept of building generational wealth. It isn't a conversation that I grew up with. Of course, we set our kids up, education wise. Education is the biggest thing, right? Uh, but the conversation in my household, at least, was not this concept of generational wealth. That has happened
Mhm.
over the course of the last like 10 years for us in conversations. But that's also because of health reasons that would bring such a
Mm.
conversation to the forefront, right? Like life and the different
Yes.
that we face. So there's tons of challenges, and there's tons of biases in the industry too. Or there's a lot of self-trust that you have to, rely on. You're gonna have to just bank on yourself and tap into your own. You have to trust yourself and your abilities, and one of the biggest challenges truly was myself. That self-doubt was probably the
Yes.
last it's ever been because we
Yes.
carry all these other roles so successfully, but
Mhm.
now we're doing this for us in the hopes of creating something large for our families, but it still comes down to you, right? So I think there are lots of challenges in the business creation space and the entrepreneurial space, and sometimes it could be lonely. So it's important to find your right people.
That's true. That's true. As long as you're connecting with the right people and having that balance, the life business balance, it's not easy. Most definitely, I did that. I went through that journey myself. It was very challenging in the beginning. Like finding that balance was a real challenge. But once you do and you prioritize your schedules based on where you want to spend your most time on, and you navigate through it, you learn a lot of new things too. It's a journey. Like I would say, like I'm still learning, and I'm happy to continue that journey of learning and growth, which is amazing. And as you mentioned, you're doing this for yourself and also for what you're building, which is your family. Importantly, you want to make sure that you are leaving an example for what they want to become, and also a legacy for them to be proud of. Most
Absolutely.
definitely.
It's all encompassing, and you just nailed it, Stella. You're always learning. We're in the business of constantly getting better, whether it's personally or professionally. Like this doesn't stop with a, a continuing education course every 2 years. It doesn't stop there. It's so much more than that, right? Like
Yes.
you only get to know that once you've done the reps in the business, and sometimes you can't learn everything in a classroom, and I completely appreciate that, right? But
Mhm.
getting around the right people, and I'm sure we'll touch on, the power of your community and your surrounding is everything in
It's
this business.
everything. Most definitely, I agree. Varsha, like in your viewpoint, for someone who's thinking of starting their journey into being an entrepreneur, who's an immigrant starting into become an entrepreneur, what are some advices that you would like to share with them?
First, I would say, please stop playing small and shrinking yourself, because it's easy for us to do, especially being immigrants to the country where you feel, at the time that we had immigrated in the early 90s, a lot of this talk, and I think it still happens, is, oh, but you don't have Canadian experience, right? Like that is the term that's used. And I could see, my father, for example, was pretty high up in a national bank, like in the Middle East, right? To the point that when we came to Canada, he had to start from the ground up again, you know? So, because that Canadian experience. So don't let those things, um, don't hold it as your identity, okay? Because you know the value that you bring. So I would say, especially more so as immigrants, it's easy for us to shrink ourselves to say, hey, you guys have all been here longer. You clearly must know better. That's not always the case. In fact, coming in with a different perspective and different experience is your strength. That is our strength, but of course I can say this now because I'm sitting here in a different stage in my life to say that. But in the early days, I'd say don't shrink yourself. Trust in your abilities, realize that you have transferable skills. And if you don't have them, learn. There are free resources out there. So you have to be tapped in to what you want to create. You have to know what you want, and you have to sort of get really resilient and get after it.
That's amazing. I completely agree with you when you said that, Varsha, because, when you actually start believing in yourself, the possibilities or the opportunities becomes endless, right? The first step is, getting outside of your head, because we are so inside, like limiting ourselves, like, oh, can I do that? That's saying, oh, is that right for me? Or, without understanding what a world is out there, right? Especially growing up as immigrants, coming from different cultures, different backgrounds. We come through an environment of, as you mentioned, like merging, developing, and growing in different areas, and all that is me or you, right? So just bringing that authenticity out, and believing in yourself and growing from there is what's going to bring the best out of you.
Oh my gosh, Stella, like so much of it falls down on you, the person, right? Like, and we're not taught, I don't know, maybe, see, I have a sister, so we're raised in a household with just sisters, like girls, right? So I don't know if it would have been different if I had a brother, but as girls, we are taught a little bit, at least as like brown girls, like back then, to shrink ourselves a little bit. It has taken me a very long time to use my voice to say, oh, this is confidence and it's meant to be shared. It's okay to take up space and be a little bit loud, right? But these are not words I would have said even 5 years ago. This is the Varsha today.
I hear you. So like, that believing in yourself, working on yourself, learning, continuing to learn, and, establishing yourself, where you want to be, that is how you can grow and, become who you really want to be. That's amazing, Varsha. Thanks for sharing that with me.
Let's share one more, Stella, like in the entrepreneurial space specifically, if we're looking to get into it, finding mentors they're a godsend in this industry. Like people who have done the work before you, they've already laid out the path a little bit, and maybe it doesn't mirror exactly what you want, but it's pretty close. Or the person itself is so relatable to you, right? Like that's why I think representation matters so much for us. That's why us brown girls are doing these things, because we need to see more of this. Right?
Exactly. We need to break barriers to go to where we want to be, right? Sit in tables that we don't feel comfortable, but eventually we need to create that mindset of belonging there, right? So most definitely the mentorship is very interesting, Varsha, because one of my previous podcasts with Sandy Mackay, he mentioned the same thing. Like if you want to become someone that you really admire, try to get into their circles. Try to become a part of their daily routine, so you can learn from them and adopt from what their mindset, work ethics and etc., right? So most definitely.
And even just the way, like you said, how do they start their mornings, right? It seems so specific and simple, but it is in those simple steps that are compounded over time that just keep repeating itself. That's where something intrinsic, that's where something shifts inside, right? Even if it's just the way you view yourself and what you want for your business. But I would say, be ready for your business to evolve, right? Like allow space for your business and what you want to evolve. Don't feel stuck in any kind of place where you think, oh, this, I have to create this way because this is how my mission statement was in year one. No, your mission statement is going to evolve over time. The mentors that you select in year one, you'll outgrow them, and that's a good thing, right? So just keep evolving with your business as you evolve. It's a little fluid.
Yes, most definitely. So, since you said evolved, I'm going to ask you this. Like, what are the key lessons you learned as a woman navigating the real estate industry?
Oh my God, navigating real estate as a woman. Okay, safety first, but in all honesty, safety is very important. We work with a lot of people that we don't know. They're complete strangers that we work
Mhm,
with. So, I come into this from previous work experience where I was taught to be very confidential and secure and make sure all my surroundings, like, it's just how I was raised and how my work had me.
mhm, mhm,
But if you're not used to that, then set yourself up for success to be safe in real estate because you are working with people that you have no idea. But other than that, learning the business and knowing your place in it, like sometimes women that I speak to are almost afraid to talk about data, I find, and I think that you're doing yourself a disservice. We have to know our data in this business. We have to know our numbers. People are constantly going to ask us about the market. We need to be sharp and on top of that on a daily basis. And a woman in real estate, I'd say finding other women that are growth oriented and that think big enough, and
mhm.
are not very afraid to share, you know? Um,
Yes.
and because it's easy for people to be very like closed off in this business.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
uh, because there's so many of us in this province.
mhm.
However, when you're sitting at, like you said, Stella, when you're sitting at the right tables and you're sitting around the right people, it truly is not a, you are competitive in the sense that you might be from different brokerages, but it is such a collaborative mindset because if you win, I win. Because something's working for you, it's amazing. If it works for you, I can do that too, right? Like that's the mindset. So
Uplifting each other,
yeah,
learning from each other, most definitely, empowering each other. So, most definitely, you mentioned, yes, we are like, I believe, over 75,000 realtors in Ontario itself right now. It's a lot of us. But, your uniqueness is very specific, like, where you come from, what you bring to the table, how you outshine, and what you, you provide to your clientele, to your family. That uniqueness actually carries you where you want to go, right? So when you come out and, I understand when you said, hey, the competition is really high. So like a lot of people, they try to keep things like fuddled up to themselves. Yes, but what I agree with you. What I found was the more that you are open about your success, your story, what is working best for you, and how you're getting to where you're getting, what books you're reading, which tables you're going and sitting, sharing those things empowers and lifts everybody around you. And that is very important, especially as women, also as immigrants. Because when I started, that was a limited belief I had myself, right? Hey, I'm a girl from a small country, a small town. What do I know? Right?
oh,
So just breaking that mindset, Varsha, and coming out to be who I am today individually was a huge journey for me.
gosh, Stella, congratulations. That is not an easy thing to, first of all, that self-awareness piece where you
Mhm.
realize these things, that in itself is like, oh my gosh, it's amazing that, you get that. Oh, I have this limited belief. But then doing the work to break that belief and like to rewire and reframe our own thoughts is the biggest challenge on a daily basis.
Yes, and you got this. It's just that for you to come out that shell and believe in yourself and work on yourself, educate yourself, and partner with other like-minded people, like
Like
how
us.
I partnered with Varsha, so you can be what you want to be, right,
I
Varsha?
love it. Like attracts like, Stella. It's very true.
That's true. Thanks for agreeing with me. And I want to ask, so when you are navigating these different stages or different characters as a mother, wife, and a business owner, how are you? What is your uh, how do I say this? How do you balance your roles? Like, how do you make sure that you're there at every important moment, no matter it's business or life?
Okay, so I cannot say that I have balance because I don't know that I'm even looking for it, to tell you the truth. I think for a while I thought that that's what I was really looking for, is this balance. But
Mhm.
a few things, right? So when we become mothers, like that role becomes, for a lot of us, that becomes our forefront. That gives me a lot of purpose to build this, to grow, to teach this next generation, right? So that is
Mhm.
my priority. However, when we became business owners, Stella, it's like, that's my third baby, right? So I have
Mhm.
two boys, but that's my baby too. And it needed me to focus a lot of attention on it in those early years, right? And that's okay. And so balancing it is tricky. Some days I step into the role more intentionally. I'm like, no, my kids need me today, especially if there's, any kind of sports or school events or tutoring, like anything that they need. I will
Mhm.
say I am so intentional in my calendar. I have it blocked in the sense that the morning and early afternoon is
Mhm.
blocked for work related activities, but in that after school block of time, like from 3:30 to 6:30, um, you're not going to get a hold of me, because I am doing the after school thing with my kids because I want to do that, right? Like this is
Mhm.
such a short window of time where they're going to get off the school bus and they're going to want to talk to me about school. And then
Yes.
their backpack and we talk about the school day, and then we figure out homework and we figure out, because they need to be set up for success too. That's my role too.
Mm.
So
Yes.
all of that having said that, I would be remiss if I didn't say, I am fortunate that I have a supportive partner, right? So my husband steps in. And this is, again, a role that he had to learn when I decided to start this business for myself. None of this came naturally to us, right? So these are things that we had to learn. So I would say, in trying to find balance, I'm actually trying to, like, my husband does all of the cooking now, Stella, so it's so fabulous that that task is off my table. And if I really want to make something, because everyone's like, you got to make this, then I'll make it. But he has stepped into that role beautifully. And it's also allowing other people to help us, because I don't know about you, but for a very long time, I tend to be, no, I can do it best. No, I'm going to do it my way. But that has shifted in a really big way. And that's opened up channels for others around me to just
Mhm.
step into the roles that they're good at too.
That's true. That's true. No, that's amazing. That's your power team that you mentioned there, right? Um,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Definitely you need your power team with you when you're actually in this game of winning. Especially to back you when you do need that extra support in case you have a commitment that you have to go there. That you need that someone that who can support you to be there and take over for you, to give you the confidence and also the comfort to move on and do what you need to do at that time. So I'm very happy to hear that you have that, and that's definitely like every woman need, like it, no matter where it's coming from. I know it's coming from your husband at this time, but for different people it may be someone else. But as long as you have your pillars of support, that's definitely going to give you the strength that you need.
That's so good. I love the way you said that, like your power team and your pillars, because like even one of the pillars could be having a personal assistant. Like, if you don't have, if motherhood and parenthood and, like, all of that is not your journey, and you're just looking to start your business, like delegating certain tasks and taking it off the table and figuring out what you're really good at is sort of
Mhm.
where you should be focused and playing too.
That's 100% focusing on your one thing, delegating the rest, making sure everything is taken care of, moving forward. Women empowerment, Varsha. Women empowerment. That's
That's right.
that's true. No, that's amazing. Thanks for sharing that. I want to ask you, because we are coming from different cultures and different backgrounds. Do you believe, or do you feel that your cultural background influenced the way that you approach your business and life?
At first, I think it influences every decision that I make. And I have an added sort of responsibility, because at home, we are an intercultural, like interracial marriage, right? So my husband is not of the Indian background. So
Mhm.
in raising children who are mixed, I have an added responsibility to, at least because I want it to be, to make sure my culture and the values pass on to my children. But in
Mhm.
making sure that I'm intentional in that way, I've come to realize that those are the same threads that follow through into business. Those are the same threads that have followed into the way I've set up my business. So, yes, absolutely. The cultural aspect of it is evident in my business, because
Mhm.
it falls on my highest values of integrity and trust and, service, which is just how I was raised in my Orthodox Hindu Indian household, right? So absolutely, it flows into aspects of business. But we do have, Stella, you too, like we have this dual sort of culture. We have the Canadian, completely westernized Canadian culture, and we have our cultural upbringings. And I think it's beautiful that we have the ability and opportunity to bring both of them. It makes us a more well-rounded entrepreneur and business owner, I believe. But it's also taxing, I will say.
Yeah, that's true. It's very unique, in other words.
It's unique.
Right.
I like that.
You get to you do have the advantage of both cultures now combined together, and then you can create your own with a very nice mixture. Most definitely. Yes, most definitely.
I love that you've been saying like break barriers. I would say that that's become sort of, I didn't know that that was going to be an undercurrent for me, but it is. I'm trying to break this sort of stigma, whether it's in that Indian mentality or in the Western mentality. We're like, well, let's just meet in the middle. Let's find something that works for us.
That's true. That's true. I think, it comes naturally when you're with the correct person that you're trying to blend it with, right? So most definitely. I want to also talk about when it comes to women empowerment, financial stability for women is very important. So as realtors, when we look at it, in your viewpoint, Varsha, do you think homeownership is an important step towards financial independence for women?
I'm in real estate, so I'm going to say yes. But even before, we got into real estate, Stella, I'd say that home ownership is the thing that fueled other life decisions and opportunities in my life. I think, yes, absolutely. I would say real estate should be one of the pillars that you use in order to build generational wealth. But you also have to realize, just do something in some way, whether it's saving, whether it's investing in stocks and equities, whether it's buying, a joint venture together, whether it's investing in a business, whether it's real estate. It's just the act of doing this for yourself. It doesn't come naturally to a lot of women, and we don't have to start with the largest goal in mind. We just have to start within our means. So yeah, I completely think financial empowerment, the conversation at home. I don't know about you, Stella, like in my home, my father was in charge of all of the finances for a very, very, very long time. And my mother did not have a lot of involvement in that area at all, right? Because she was raising the children, driving us to activities, doing all the things. And then when we immigrated here, she was working. Still, my banker dad, everything fell to him. So, I've had to sort of learn to be this person because this is beyond who we are, whether we're male or female. Like every person should be financially independent.
Most definitely. No, you're right. Even in my household, I don't know if it's a thing or where we came from. It is the father figure in the house who manages the financials mostly. So when I grew up and when I came to that age or stage in my life that I need to now manage finances, it was a huge learning curve for me. I'm like, oh my God, okay, how do I plan this? Where do I go? But learning that and understanding the importance of financial management and well-being is very, very important for a successful future. And interestingly, I have always craved the stability in life because, as immigrants, we move from one country to the other looking for a better life. We're looking for better opportunities. And, now, hey, we are in a great country. We have great opportunity here. But the thing that I have craved growing up to become who I am is the stability. So home is a necessity when we think about stability, right? So definitely financial empowerment is very important. Your stability is very important as well. So in my viewpoint, I'm not saying this because I'm a realtor myself. I'm actually saying this because I'm a woman, I'm a mother, wife, and a mother as well. For me to make sure that I have a safe home for the beautiful family that I'm building, that is very important for me. No matter where I'm going in my life, the day takes me, coming back to my safe nest and being safe in there is my absolute importance at the end of the day, and making sure my kids are safe there. And I know it is in a safe neighborhood, in a safe environment that my kids can thrive. So most definitely, I agree with what you said, Varsha. I just want to add my 2 cents into it as well.
Because it's so crucial that you say that, and how beautiful. You're absolutely right. Stability is. And they say, children raised in stable homes, like having homes, actually do much. I don't know the exact stat, but I read it recently in a book, but they end up, their life ends up looking quite different in their future in terms of what they need for success and socioeconomic success and things like that, right? And it starts
Mhm.
stable home environment, or at least home. The environment is what we create.
Yes, most definitely. So, in a nutshell, Varsha, like when we talk about women empowerment, what does that resonate for you?
Oh my gosh, Stella, it's all encompassing. I would say, for a long time for me, empowerment was let's raise each other up. Let's raise each other up. And it still is. It still is. But it's also building ladders in a way for women. Much like when we talked about someone who's already gone ahead of us and laid out the path for us, it truly
Mhm.
fast tracks it for us, that chunk of time. So I would say empowerment to me is, of course, raising voices and raising women, but also building ladders for others to join us, up here, to join us on our journey.
Yeah, most definitely. That's beautiful, Varsha. Thanks for saying that. And if I was to ask you to conclude the conversation today, what is one message that you like to share with all the women out there who are just starting their journey? What would that be?
Starting their journey into entrepreneurship.
It could be like anywhere in their life. Maybe it's a new immigrant, like a student at this time, or someone that who's been a housewife and thinking about maybe breaking into employment or entrepreneurship, like anywhere in their life.
I would say that, you are capable of more than you know, and don't wait for permission. Like, give yourself permission and just take the first step.
That's beautiful. 100% I agree with you on that. What an incredible conversation, Varsha.
Stella, I
You're
keep talking with you. This has
I
been
know,
so.
I don't even feel like it's been this long, but it's been great connecting with you. Your journey is truly inspiring, from embracing new beginnings as an immigrant to empowering others through real estate and by authentic storytelling. Your podcast, oh my God, that's amazing. You have shown us the power of resilience, courage, and community, Varsha. That's amazing. As we celebrate International Women's Day this month, let's remember the importance of supporting and empowering one another, whether it's through mentorship, friendship, simply sharing your stories, or all have the power and inspire change and make a difference. To our listeners, thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you're leaving this conversation feeling inspired, motivated, and ready to celebrate the incredible women in your lives. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and share with someone who could use a dose of inspiration. And we want to hear from you. Let us know the topics that you love to discuss, and we will definitely bring that in our upcoming episodes. You can watch this episode on all our previous ones on all platforms, starting from YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. All links are in the description below. Varsha, thank you once again for sharing your journey and insights. It was absolutely an honor having you on the Stellar Talk Show.
Thank you, Stella, for this opportunity. I'm very honored to be here.
Most welcome. Absolutely. Until next time, keep thriving in life, wealth, and real estate. This is Stella Ram signing off from the Stellar Talk Show. Stay empowered, stay inspired, and let's keep building legacies together.
Thank you for spending your time with us on the Stellar Talk Show. We hope you found value in today's episode and gained insights to help elevate your lifestyle. If you enjoyed the discussion, please like, subscribe, and share it with anyone who could benefit. It means the world to us. Until our next episode, stay inspired, and I'll see you soon on our next Stellar Talk Show.